Today, we continue our mission to track down the notorious destroyers, wild boars, alongside the farmers of Morocco. Though many have been taken down, the nightmare is far from over. The herds keep multiplying, tearing through every square meter of farmland. And our mission remains the same: no mercy. Join me on today's hunt and find out what awaits us just ahead. With our pack of hunting dogs, we began the morning search in the cornfields. Several areas had already been destroyed by wild boars, so we needed to act fast to eliminate them. Following the barking of the dogs, the first boars burst out of the dense corn. We were already in position along the trail, just waiting for them to show themselves. The first gunshots rang out. Panicked, the herd turned back and rushed into the cornfield to hide. The entire hunting team gave chase, determined not to let a single one escape. There, a boar trying to flee, but couldn't escape my sights. One clean shot and it went down. We were thrilled with our first takedown of the day. With a perfect start, we kept pushing forward, searching for the rest of the scattered herd. The dogs tracked them down and drove them out from the thick brush. As soon as one appeared, I was already in ambush position, ready to take the shot. Perfect. With just one pull of the trigger, I brought down another wild boar. Amid the chaos, a few targets managed to escape. However, we had already tracked their direction and immediately gave chase. The distance between us was closing fast. Let out a deep roar and charged straight at us, catching the whole team off guard. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle and aimed straight at its weak point. The bullet flew with perfect precision, piercing through its thick hide. Just when things seemed to settle down, we picked up another signal coming from the nearby forest. A familiar silhouette moved swiftly beneath the canopy. Split second as the boar darted past, I seized the moment and dropped the target instantly. Chasing down wild boars without rest, I focused on dropping each one with a single precise shot. After that, we tracked another large herd. These were hefty boars, weighing around 80 to 90 kilograms, moving with surprising speed and agility. I waited patiently until one of them stepped into the perfect line of sight. Then I pulled the trigger. Fortunately, each of my shots landed clean, bringing down the targets quickly. Using the tracking device, I spotted another herd moving across the grassy mountain ridges. Under the scorching sun, we continued to wait patiently in ambush. Shouts to drive the wild boars echo across the mountain. From a distance, one boar charged straight toward me. It took several shots before I finally hit its speed. It was simply too fast to land a clean shot at first. Each time a boar appeared, the shouting grew louder and more intense, fueling the chaos. The noise only made the boars more frantic, and we used that moment to open fire. After multiple bursts, the boar was finally taken down. After a long day of effort, we managed to take down a good number of wild boars. But with so many of them still out there, we know this mission is far from over. That doesn't discourage us, because protecting the crops and driving these invaders out is our top priority. have just witnessed an intense wild boar hunt in Morocco. We hope this video brought you some thrilling and unforgettable moments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Feral pigs, with a population of up to 6 million, have become a serious threat, spreading in at least 35 states in the United States, including Florida. Herds of feral pigs destroying natural ecosystems, plowing up the habitats of native animals, and reducing biodiversity. Not only that, they are also the source of many dangerous viruses and bacteria, spreading diseases such as hepatitis, pneumonia, and many other infectious diseases, posing a risk to the health of humans and livestock. Faced with this alarming situation, the people of Florida did not stand idly by. They implemented many drastic measures to control the number of wild pigs, of which hunting is an effective solution. Last week, I and a few friends decided to participate in a wild pig hunt. About 1 kilometer from where we live is a large hill where many types of plants and wild fruits are concentrated, an ideal food source for wild boars. This is the opportunity for us to carry out our hunting plan, both protecting the environment and controlling the number of these pests. As soon as we set foot on the hillside, we discovered the first targets. A herd of wild boars was wandering around looking for food. Excitement filled my heart. I quickly got into position, carefully preparing for the attack. When I had accurately aimed at the largest wild boar in the herd, I resolutely pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, and the first spoils were ours. My companions also quickly joined in. They spread out, closely coordinated, and followed the tracks of the escaping wild boars. The sound of gunfire echoed throughout the forest, mixed with the sound of hurried footsteps. Although we were not professional hunters, we tried our best and killed quite a few destructive wild boars. This was not just a hunt, but also a practical action to protect the area from the destruction of this animal. The battle became more intense than ever when the wild boars panicked and ran away. They rushed away, hiding under the dense canopy of trees, taking advantage of their familiarity with the terrain and their agile, cunning instincts to escape our pursuit. I held my gun firmly, my eyes fixed on the target. When a wild boar appeared in my sights, I immediately took action. Shots rang out, accurate and decisive. Several more wild boars were taken down, but I knew the battle was not over yet. The footsteps of my teammates echoed throughout the forest, mixed with the continuous sound of gunfire. We coordinated closely, not giving any of them a chance to escape. With each passing second, the tension reached its peak, but each small victory added more motivation to continue the fight. However, the sunset was fading, signaling that time was running out. We knew we had to return before the forest was completely covered in darkness. After collecting the spoils, the group decided to return, not to end it, but to prepare for a new challenge, night hunting. Night falls. The forest is immersed in silence. Equip yourself with a thermal scope, a tool to observe wild boars in the dark. Choose a discreet location, but large enough to cover the entire area. Time passes slowly, as if it has stopped. An hour passed intense silence. Suddenly, a movement from the edge of the forest caught the group's attention immediately. Through the thermal scope, we discovered a herd of wild boars leisurely foraging, unaware of the danger approaching. Without hesitation, we suddenly opened fire. The sound of gunfire tore through the night. The herd of wild boars panicked, but did not have time to react. They fell one by one under the precise, powerful bullets. When we thought the hunt was about to end, from the open space, new targets appeared. The wild boars were bigger and stronger, but they could not escape the sights. The whole group opened fire simultaneously, each bullet fired as if deciding fate. One shot, one kill. In the dim light of the night, I spotted a few wild boars trying to escape, but I would not allow that to happen. My hunting instincts rose. I was determined not to let it escape my sights. In the distance, another pair of wild boars were still chatting, seemingly unaware that their fellows had been exterminated. They were immersed in the sweetness of love, but I knew what would happen if this love affair ended well. A new generation of saboteurs would be born, causing more damage to this land. I couldn't let that happen. I adjusted the scope, aiming straight at the target. A perfect shot rang out, ending everything before it was too late. Silence fell over the forest again, signaling the end of the campaign. At the end of the trip, I felt proud and satisfied. We had contributed to protecting the crops, minimizing the damage caused by wild boars. Abanojar, a small town in the Castilla-La Mancha region of Spain.
Hey, what's that, bud?
'La Mancha region of Spain. 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 'La Mancha region According to last year's report by the Spanish Agricultural Association, this area alone recorded over 1,200 incidents of wild boar damage. The estimated direct economic loss? Nearly 350,000 euros annually. Unable to stand by and watch my property get destroyed, I decided to team up with a few trusted friends from the village and organize a hunt to push back against this growing threat. At the break of dawn, we were all set. Rifles, GPS trackers, and a bit of dry food, just enough for a long day out. Our destination was the northern forest area, where recent signs of boars had been reported. Looking through the scope, we quickly spotted some strange disturbances, clear proof that a herd had recently passed through. About 30 minutes into the tracking, a large male, roughly 90 kilograms, was wandering along the hillside. I crept in, found a good angle, and aimed carefully. The shot landed perfectly. It barely had time to react before collapsing instantly. Our first catch of the day, a smooth start. We continued along the ridge while my friends split off in other directions. Suddenly, a boar burst out from a nearby bush, only 10 meters away. I instinctively raised my rifle and fired a clean takedown. Other targets quickly followed, and of course, we didn't let the chance slip by. Gunfire echoed through the hills, and after a few intense minutes, the number of boars taken down was hard to keep track of. The team's morale was soaring. By midday, the heat was starting to set in. We took a break in the shade when we heard something rustling to the left. A small boar around 40 kilograms was trying to dig under the protective fence. No hesitation, I raised my rifle and fired. It dropped instantly. Small as it was, this was the next generation. If not controlled, they'd become a long-term menace. At this point, the team regrouped on a wide ridge to plan our next move. Wild boars are cunning and aggressive, so we decided to split into smaller squads and ambush from multiple directions. There it was, a target in sight. I fired 2 shots, one dropped on the spot, the other tried to flee, but was quickly taken down. The rest of the team was just as active. Multiple targets were spotted, and everyone gave it their all to make this hunt count. Time was running short, so we decided to head back toward our original ambush point. Just then, down in the valley, a boar suddenly burst out, like it was fleeing from something. Instinct kicked in. I raised the rifle and fired based on pure reflex. Bullseye. Most likely the last straggler from a morning herd. On the way back, I paused for a moment to catch my breath before leaving the forest. Then, out of nowhere, a deep grunt sounded behind me. I turned. A massive male, even bigger than the earlier alpha, was just a few meters away. No time to think. I raised my rifle and fired. Had I hesitated even a second, I might have been the one under attack. We returned with the truck loaded full, many of them mature males. It wasn't a record-breaking haul, but for a region overwhelmed by wild boars, this was a crucial first step. Last week, I had the chance to visit the Transdanubia region in western Hungary. At first, I just intended to take a light stroll, nothing too serious. But that morning, I happened to run into a few hunter friends who were gearing up for a wild boar hunt. And just like that, without hesitation, I rushed back to grab my rifle and backpacked along. The vast field by the edge of the forest, where wild boars often come to ravage the crops, was our playground for the day. The hunt began, and my heart was pounding with excitement beyond words. Going hunting with the locals means there's nothing to worry about. They know the forest like the back of their hand, every animal trail, and all the habits of the prey. The team stopped at a small trail cutting through the forest. I climbed up a tall hunting stand, eyes straining to scan every bare treetop ahead. Before long, wild boars appeared, so many it was impossible to count. The old hunters in the group fired in a flash, taking down two instantly. I quickly joined in and luckily managed to hit one from a herd. That was a great start. After that encounter, the hunter's blood in me boiled even more. And just then, another unlucky boar walked right into my sights. I fired immediately, no hesitation. But in the end, it still went down. The boar was hit and tumbled down the slope. From afar, shadows of wild boars started creeping forward. I tightened my grip on the rifle, ready to shoot. This time, I lay in wait by the roadside. A wild boar slowly wandered in from the other side. I fired with full determination. The boar collapsed by the roadside. Another trophy secured. To find more wild boars, I decided to follow the local hunters once again. For now, I had to deal with these wild boars first. Gunshots rang out, tearing through the forest silence. The very first shot hit the mark. There were more, so I quickly shifted targets. One after another, they went down, and I was thrilled. Felt like I had full control of the battlefield. The thrill lasted right until the final moments of the hunt. On the way out of the forest, I spotted a clearing covered in thick grass. These spots are wild boar mats. I figured I'd wait a few more minutes, might catch a few more. And just as I sensed, they appeared. The distance was a bit far, but I decided to take a shot anyway. Tightened my grip, aimed carefully, held my breath, and pulled the trigger. Perfect. One was down. Another startled and darted off, but that's fine. The day's haul had already exceeded expectations.
Çok güzel.
We started our trip on a chilly morning across dozens of kilometers of grassland. The wind was gentle, the sky was clear, and ahead was a special experiment, hunting wild boar with a specialized drone. No more old-fashioned hunting trips with barking dogs and stalking footsteps. Today, we rely entirely on technology. Drones equipped with infrared cameras, live data transmission, and a highly skilled hunting team, ready to act when ordered. Are you ready? Let's get started right away. The drone left the launch pad, quickly gliding over the grass and scanning every centimeter of the terrain. Just a few minutes later, the first signal appeared on the screen. A herd of adult wild boars was wandering around foraging not far away. Our group immediately approached according to the transmitted coordinates. The location was marked. We spread out, creating a pincer movement. As soon as the target appeared in sight, a series of continuous bullets rang out. A few pigs were hit and fell down immediately. The rest were scared and ran everywhere. Seizing the opportunity, we followed immediately, determined not to let any target have a chance to survive. It seemed like today was a successful hunting day, as we didn't spend too much time and effort searching for the target. The whole team patiently monitored the movement of the herd through the aerial camera. Here it is. A familiar figure appeared and disappeared under the dry grass. The distance wasn't too far. The enemy was less than 10 m away from us. The shot came from close range, decisive and effective. The target was taken down in just a few short seconds. This time, the drone detected a small trail that was frequently trampled, a sign that wild boars used to move back and forth. We waited until there were signs of stronger heat movement, then we immediately launched an ambush. Each member followed the instructions. When the herd of wild boars stopped and hid behind the trees, a rapid barrage of bullets was fired. Two were killed on the spot. One was injured and didn't run far before collapsing. Hunting until dusk, at which point our vision became useless. But the drone continued to operate. Now the infrared camera was at its peak. A red that appeared at the edge of the field. Nighttime was their peak activity time, so there were not just one but many wild boars near us. The space was quiet, with only the sound of the wind and the gentle drone engine above. We quietly approached, chose a favorable position, and fired from a safe distance. Not a single extra sound. The boar felt as if it had never noticed that someone was watching it from above. adjusting the drone to fly at a lower altitude to get a clear picture. From the screen, we saw every movement clearly, quickly approaching and planning an attack. With the advantage of instant location, taking down the enemy became easy. Another lightning attack ended the chase. One shot, one kill. Each boar fell one by one after fatal shots. Before ending the mission, we scanned an area near the open forest. Sure enough, they were hiding here. And of course, we couldn't miss this opportunity. They would pay for the damage they had caused. It was already midnight when we returned, with the truck loaded with spoils. Although my teammates and I were tired, we were also very happy with the results of today's trip. It can be seen that technology has completely changed the game. With drones, we can not only track the location of wild boars, but also predict their movements, plan precise attacks, and minimize risks. Not a single wild boar escaped our control. Technology has helped us act smarter, more effectively, and much more safely. After many difficult hunting trips, I realized one thing. Tracking and locating wild pigs from the ground is not only difficult, but also potentially risky. Especially when they quickly escape into the bushes. Determining the direction is almost impossible. So, a bold idea came up. Hunting wild pigs by helicopter. In the U.S., wild pigs are not only an invasive species, but also a nightmare for the agricultural industry. With an impressive reproductive capacity, an average female pig can give birth to 12 to 20 piglets per year. They destroy crops, erode the land, and cause billions of dollars in damage every year. That is why controlling their numbers has become an urgent task. Can I control the situation? Join me in this dramatic battle. Today, I decided to try a new method. Hunting wild boars from a helicopter. With the support of a Robinson R44 rated and a Wedgetail Industries WT-25-308 Winchester rifle, a specialized weapon with high accuracy. When everything is ready, we start to set off. Our destination is the open land near the forest and the nearby fields. Walking around, I check the terrain, as well as look for traces of the invaders. It seems that hunting by helicopter is a good choice. From above, the wide observation range helps me easily detect their traces, plowed land and destroyed crops. Flying across an open field, I spotted the first targets. They were impressive with their shiny black fur, the size of adults up to 100 kilograms, and sharp fangs. Tom quickly adjusted the altitude, kept the plane stable, and approached the target. With the skills and experience accumulated over the years, I raised the gun, decisively pulled the trigger. One shot, one kill. In order to quickly take down the wild boar, I held the gun tightly, calmed down, and chose the vital points. The noise from the helicopter made the nearby wild boars panic, rushing out of their hiding places. However, it was a wrong choice. The helicopter circled over the field. We had just discovered a herd of about 10 wild boars, all of them large in size, and with an incredible speed, up to 40 kilometers each. When the first shot rang out, I knocked down one. The rest immediately scattered to run. This is also a quite typical behavior of wild boars. However, the helicopter gave us a superior advantage. When the first shot rang out, I quickly knocked down one. The rest immediately scattered to escape, but each shot was a sentence for the invader. In this chase, the wild boars could not defeat the power of the helicopters. When Tom chased another herd of wild boars, I fired continuously, but it seemed that the herd of wild boars had realized the danger. They had learned to avoid my attacks. Indeed, this hunting experience from above was not as easy as I thought. From the edge of the forest, Tom flew back to the field. When hearing the sound of the helicopter, they quickly ran into the dense bushes, making it difficult for me to find the target. However, thanks to Tom's ingenuity, we discovered a larger herd of more than 10. Not being able to miss the opportunity, I focused on the biggest ones, pulling the trigger continuously. The wild boars were taken down one by one. We quickly chased the remaining targets. From the edge of the forest, Tom flew back to the field. The final targets gradually appeared. Unable to miss the opportunity, once again approached and surrounded the target. Confusion and panic had made them lose their inherent flexibility. 14. A few minutes passed. The entire herd of wild boars had been taken down by me. Adult wild boars, weighing 80, 120 kilograms, were scattered across the field. After many hours of hunting, we took down about 50 wild boars. However, this number was still a small number compared to the millions of individuals that were destroying the United States. However, that was also the motivation, giving us more strength for the next hunting trips. Although measures such as hunting are used in many countries to control wild boar populations, their effectiveness is limited due to the species' rapid reproduction. In Italy, for example, although hunters kill around 295,000 animals each year, the wild boar population is still increasing by 150% annually, an alarming figure. To improve the effectiveness of control, we not only rely on hunting, but also combine trapping with this method. This combination optimizes the killing ability, targeting even the most cunning individuals in the herd, thereby creating a stronger impact in limiting the wild boar population explosion. As usual, the traps are set in the evening, and we will return to check them the next morning. Everything was going according to plan until the surveillance system reported an unusual situation. A wild boar had fallen into the trap, but instead of accepting its fate, it frantically tried to escape. The camera recorded it struggling, climbing out of the trap before disappearing into the night. Without hesitation, the team immediately armed themselves, quickly approached the trap area, ready to track and kill it before it had a chance to recover. Since it was late at night, we had to use the thermal scope to search for the target. As soon as we arrived, we scanned the area, and a familiar figure immediately appeared before our eyes. It seemed to have gotten tired and was replenishing its energy. We cautiously approached the target. The wild boar was still unaware that it had been targeted. Choosing a suitable shooting angle, raising the gun, aiming straight at the target, and pulling the trigger, the wild boar collapsed heavily to the ground. The escaped target had been taken down. However, the story did not end there. This area was right near the edge of the forest where wild boars often came to forage. After walking around, the scene before my eyes left me stunned. Wild boars were scattered everywhere, more in number than expected. In the darkness, they were completely unaware of our presence. This was an opportunity not to be missed. Immediately getting into position, when everything was ready, we opened fire simultaneously. After a hail of bullets, half of the wild boars were taken down, while the rest had already fled. After a hail of bullets, half of the wild boars had been taken down, while the rest had already fled. However, with the thermal scope in hand, no matter which direction the boars ran, we could easily track them. Prioritizing those that had separated from a herd, they became easy targets to take down without causing further commotion. Some of them panicked and ran towards the edge of the forest, but before they could disappear from sight, the accurate shots quickly ended their escape. There was no chance of escape. While tracking, we discovered a large herd of boars moving in a herd and fleeing. Grasping their direction of movement, the group immediately accelerated and advanced to intercept them. Holding the gun firmly, when the herd of pigs appeared, immediately we opened fire at the same time. The first bullet was aimed straight at the leader of the wild boar, the one leading the herd. Then 1, 2, 3. One by one, the wild boars fell. After the rain of bullets, the battlefield was quieter, but there was still one survivor. A wild boar was bewildered, its bloodshot eyes staring at us, full of confusion, but also mixed with defiance. Without hesitation, I raised my gun, resolutely pulled the trigger, a perfect headshot that killed the wild boar in an instant. The sky gradually brightened. We began to move towards the farm after a night of intense pursuit. However, before we could relax, we discovered an unusual sign. A few cunning wild boars had sneaked inside, weaving among the herd of cows, taking advantage of the darkness to forage. The group immediately deployed their formation and approached carefully. Only about 50 meters away from the target, but the herd of pigs was still completely off guard, absorbed in digging without realizing the approaching danger. The atmosphere was more tense than ever. At this moment, every shot had to be absolutely accurate. A small mistake could cause the herd of cows to panic, causing uncontrollable chaos. The result was beyond expectations. In just a few seconds, the intruders were completely eliminated. The remaining pigs fled the farm in panic. After the intense battle, the dawn had just broken, dispelling the silence of the night. The resounding victory last night made the whole group excited, but at the same time, it also strengthened their determination to completely exterminate the wild boar herd to prevent future invasions. We speculated that the ones that had escaped must have retreated to the hills near the farm. Without hesitation, the whole group immediately moved, heading straight towards it. From the top of the mountain, through binoculars, we discovered the pigs lurking behind the trees. Quickly deploying tactics, we divided into small groups, silently ambushing in different positions. The gunshots echoed once more, ending all resistance. Each wild boar fell down on the spot. The wild boars in this area were not only huge, but also extremely cunning. However, no matter how agile they were, they had no chance of survival. Despite trying to run away, rushing at terrifying speed, gliding through each bush, looking for an escape route, the wild boar could not escape my bullets. It fell over and rolled down the slope. If we did not act promptly today, the consequences would be unpredictable. In the rural southern region of Alabama, wild hogs aren't just a nuisance, they're a full-blown disaster. Cornfields are torn up overnight, and vegetable gardens look like war zones. Wild hogs have lost their fear of humans. They sneak into residential areas after dark, digging up yards, flipping trash cans, and there have even been cases of people getting seriously injured trying to chase them out of their own backyards. Faced with this growing crisis, we, the local farmers and hunters, couldn't just stand by. A carefully planned hunt was set in motion. Join us on this tense, heart-pounding, and dangerous journey in today's video. Once we were all in position, I carefully loaded my rifle and waited for the wild hogs to show up. The rest of the team and the hunting dogs started sweeping the area, and sure enough, the hogs soon emerged. They weren't huge, but they were incredibly fast. I fired several shots and missed. But just as one of them was about to vanish into the brush, a final well-placed shot brought it down. Right after that, another hog burst out in front of me. I had just enough time to aim and squeeze off a perfect shot, dropping it on the spot. During a tense chase, a medium-sized hog appeared, looking fierce and aggressive. I didn't hesitate. I lined up my shot and fired. Bullseye. It dropped instantly. In this area, the hogs don't stand a chance. We're seasoned hunters who know our weapons and can hit targets at any range. But our plan didn't stop there. We kept tracking the hogs, fast, cunning animals weaving between bare trees. This was the moment. All eyes locked in on the target. Then came the crack of gunfire, and down went the biggest hog yet. That rush of victory was unforgettable, marking one of the most intense hunts we've ever had. About 30 minutes later, I spotted another hog at very close range. It didn't take long. With a single clean shot, I brought it down instantly. The afternoon here was calm and peaceful, which meant the hogs felt safe enough to come out and forage. We stayed quiet, watching from a distance, then launched a surprise attack. The herd barely had time to react before several of the big, tusked males were already down. We spent the whole day tracking through rugged forest terrain, chasing after hogs. From the perfect ambush spots, we unloaded a volley of shots. At these ranges, experience and accuracy make all the difference. Every hog that showed itself was taken down with precision, and our pile of game kept growing. Even after that, more hog herds kept moving through the area. We stayed alert, scanning and selecting targets carefully. By the end of the day, we were completely exhausted, but incredibly proud of what we'd accomplished.